Can you give your honest take on what you think a designer role will look like in a few years' time?
Good question. I love when you do future casting, you should always think yourself as an inflection point and look back so you can look forward. So what was a designer, 100 years ago, designing the typeface on what would go in the Gutenberg printing press? In the future, it is going to be that digital and human interaction that's going to be, a lot more accessible, accelerated, etc. There's the same craft skills of, sense making, taking empathy, drawing insights from it. But if I look at what the big shakeup that's happening right now, I think design will be a bit more broader. Now, if everyone has tools to craft, being inclusive of that rather than protective, but also making sure, you're still elevating what taste and what that craft looks like from your perspective. I think it's to be that therefore more collaborative. You can work with a PM or an engineer because you're actually compressing those other skill sets together with design. So you're designing together and maybe you're leading the way, but you're leading non-designers with you on doing that. And I also think it's tool agnostic. We see the tools going so fast that people saying like, I was really great at Sketch, or I was really great at InVision, or I was really great at Figma. That doesn't matter anymore. It's about the materiality of what you're designing. And at the end of the day, it's an end-to-end experience with, pain points and delight, but get to know what those new foundations are, so you can be tool agnostic. I think is interesting. And yesterday I was talking to someone who's an AI first design leader within the Microsoft group, and she said, will I be a design manager in the future? Am I even needed? And I thought that's an interesting one now, because we can build things so quickly, particularly in digital experiences, but you still need people to coordinate, to set up, to bring people together, to get people excited about work. And I said to her, if now so many people can go in so many different directions, your role, in my view, is even more important, because you need to set up what the future is so that everyone has somewhere to go. Otherwise, they're all going to go in 100 different directions. So getting people excited and creating a vision, those are all things that are evergreen for the craft.
I liked what you said as well from the first question, which was like, AI's only got the information from yesterday and before. So it's not going to help that much in terms of the kind of future connection and predictions around that. So I think like that's a nice way of looking at it as well. Where do you get how do you stay up to speed with what's coming next? And have you got any tips on where to get that from?
Yeah, so I think, look, right now, if you open LinkedIn, it's terrifying. And when you look out there, what's possible is terrifying. I think what I like to do is actually look where money is going. So there's a lot of noise, but then I go, is there a first mover happening on something? What does that look like? So, for example, when Clawbot decided to come up with an enterprise version, I was like, okay, now this is something to pay attention to, that there is general intelligence available, in a consumer world. Now that's something to pay attention to and double down to. But when there was a lot of noise about other technologies or different versions of AI, it's too big and broad, but I want to have just-in-time learning. So I really pick up, or when we've done a tool review and they're like, okay, we're on UX Pilot now, maybe we're thinking about using Claude Design. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to look into Claude Design, because now we need to make a decision on it. Otherwise, at the moment, it's just far too overwhelming. So I'm trying to look at just what that next little hill is. Yes, I'm watching and seeing, but I'm not letting that impact, my fear and spreading myself too thin, because I still have to do my job today and tomorrow.
Yeah, great. I follow a guy called, do you know Benedict Evans?
No.
He does, I just popped a link in, but he does like 2 big presentations a year of like the future. But his way of looking at it is always 100 years past up until now, and what's coming, to be able to kind of decipher what's trend or fad versus what's actually happening. I love listening to some of his stuff. Ash, anything to add on this kind of like, I guess some of it is around like a little bit around how do you deal with like catastrophizing of, oh my God, is there even a role for me in the future?
I think that this, I mean, you could zoom out even more and get fully existential and just be like, well, we don't really know what's awaiting any of us in the future with any solid degree of certainty. I think, I have lived this for the last couple of years with things really shifting around in my work and life that I never anticipated. And back from when I, was a singer and then had my vocal accident, I saw a version of the future that was not the future that I am now living, because something came in and something shook things up and changed things around. And so at the end of the day, I think what we really need to build is an awareness and understanding of strong character and the types of sort of resilience and grit that allows us to keep showing up to life in all of its different, all of our different capacities, whether that's within our relationships, within our families, within our workplaces, recognizing, something that I do have is curiosity. I'm curious about exploring and discovering new things. Something that I do have is compassion. I always have a sense of softness and understanding for other people, a sense of softness and understanding for myself when things get hard. Cultivating some of those value pieces, I think, can be really critical, especially when we're looking into an uncertain future.
Yeah, great. And I think also, especially with the stuff around AI, it's a tool. And, we've used tools in the past, but it's still us that's in control of them. As long as you stay in control of them and you don't kind of pass things off to the machine.